Hello, my fellow board gamers. Today I am bringing you a run through of Mercado de Lisboa. It's brought to you by these guys at the bottom. We've got artwork by this chap here, and this one plays for 1 to 4 players, a solo option as well, and it takes about 30 to 45 minutes, which is about right. Now, if you're after a shorter insight, you can check out my overview I brought you guys last week, and this is sort of that light medium complexity type game. It's one of those where it's quite quick to learn, but there's a lot of depth to it because it's got this abstract strategy type feel. Now in this one, we're heading to these markets and we will be placing stands, which are these sort of square-ish tiles, and you'll be hoping to attain these restaurants at some point and place them out, and they create synergy with your stands because thematically speaking, your stands produce produce, so you've got grapes and all a host of things, and if you've got certain restaurants next to them, they require your products, and your products will be more valuable and you get more profits when you sell to those restaurants when your customers demand them. So looking at the board, you've got the customers here, and they range from customers who've got a 1 on them to 2s to 3s to 4s. You've got a selection of stands that you can attain once you put one out. You've got the end game conditions here, which I'll go through, and this is the crux of the game where all the action is going to take place. Now there's only me as usual, and I'm going to play out a 2-player game. We've got yellows here and we've got blues. Now it's optional whether you have these sort of screens and keep your money secret. I prefer to keep the money secret because then you know where your opponent's at, because literally whoever has the most money at the end of the game is the winner. So this has a good depiction of what you can do for things on your go, and let's just assume yellow is at first. Number 1, then I'll try and demonstrate what each of them do, and then I'll play a little bit of strategy for you to show what you can try and attempt to achieve. So number 1 is placing a stand, and you've got 3 here. That's going to cost you a coin to place one, and if you do, this little symbology represents that if you happen to have any customers already out there, you can see if you've attained any revenue by putting that stand out, which ain't going to be the case because we got no customers out there. So we'll do that one. We'll get cracking. So we're going to put this stand, which makes grapes. Now you can put it anywhere you want, and if you do cover a restaurant, which is a legal move, you actually take that restaurant back into your hand. So we're probably thinking, right, we're going to go and place this stand there, and we're going to take this restaurant, which is some sort of winery. We put that in our hand, and this is going to cost us, so it's 1 coin for the actual stand to build it. Now if there were other stands in the row or the column, you'd see which would have the most, and you'd pay coins for each stand there as well. So we'll pay our coin, and now we get to refill back up to 3. So we're looking at these 3. We've got this sort of what should we say, tea/herbs for, well, herbs we'll call them. We've got this sushi bar, and we've got this sort of meat vendor, and I think we're going to go for the meat vendor because we've always got this sort of fruit and veg tomato provider, which is for the pizzas. I'll go through them now actually. So the meat provider is going to hopefully synergize with the burger bar, should we call it. You've got the tomatoes, which are going to be used for the pizza restaurants. The sushi is the fish stand is for the sushi bar, these little ones there. And what else we got? Yep, we got these sort of herbal plants for the coffee bar that they're providing tea. So we now replenish this, and that is literally, there you go folks, we got a tomato one out. Over to blues. Now let's demonstrate the second. No, we're not going to do the second one just yet. We're going to do the last option, which is just take a coin. So we'll take a coin. Now the game says that if ever 1 player and then another player and then another player, and if all 4 players in the 4-player game take this 4th action, which is take a coin, the game ends immediately, which is a bit strange, but bear that in mind. And in a 2-player game, it'd be 2 consecutive. So these guys take a coin, and then if these guys took a coin and these guys took a coin, then boom, the game is over. So that is option 4. Back over to yellows then. Let's demonstrate the customers if we can. Yes, we can. So customers is literally take one of these and place it on the outer edge of the board, and you're going to get money. Now I wouldn't probably do this soon because they've only got the 1 stand out, and you'll see why. Now each customer has requirements. This is the goods they're after. So this chap is after, some grapes from the grape stand, and he's after some fish. Now, to be able to put one of these down, there's certain criteria you have to match. You have to have at least a stand in that row or column, depending if you put it in the column or the row. So we do. We could either put it here in this column, because we do own a stand there. And secondly, the number of stands has to equal the number of customers. So we've got one stand, one customer. We couldn't just take 3 customers and put it there, because there's only one stand. So that's the second sort of requirement. So the more stands, the more lucrative, because you've got more customers visiting. The third thing is, you have to have one of these actual demand tokens that match the stand, which it does, a grape and a grape. You don't need both. If you did, then it'd be great. You could get more money. So let's plonk this down on the column. We then look down here. There's one stand, so it matches the requirement of one customer, and they are going to buy some grapes from this stand. So you can see on it, we're going to get the money, and it's literally a multiplier. So it's one stand, one coin produced from that stand times the one customer is 1. So not a lot of money, but that's sort of demonstrating that for you. Over to blues then, and we're going to place a stand this time. Let's go with this meat stand, and I think we're going to put it, so we've got 2 coins, we're going to put it here on this burger one. Now remember, you could put it any empty space if you wanted, but doing this gives you an advantage, because you get the restaurant then. And that's going to cost them 1 coin for the stand. We look along the row, there's no other stands. We look down, there's no other, so just the 1 coin in this case. And they get to replenish, they're going to go for the tomato one. And then we take one from the bag. Over to yellows. So they could now put out this restaurant, which is probably what they should have done before they placed this customer. I know, yeah, these replenish down. Now these, all of the visible ones are available, so you can see the stacks of them. They're available, the top one anyway. And right, these guys are going to put a restaurant down, preferably next to their winery, because it now means that this restaurant can attain grapes from this stand, and those grapes have gone up in value by 1. So it'd be 1 money income from the stand and an extra income because there's a winery next to it. Now we have, what have we done? We've placed, so option 3 is to place a restaurant on any tile. You could even put it on one of these and you'd acquire the one below it, so you're getting more restaurants in your hand. Now I guess the caveat to that is that if you have any restaurants in your hand at the end of the game when it's triggered, you will lose 1 coin for each restaurant you've not placed out. And in this case, you're going to gain a coin for actually placing a restaurant. So we've gained a coin. Over to blues, and they are thinking, okay, we have got this burger stand. We're going to place that next to our meat stand there, and they're going to gain a coin. So that's all of the actions. And so you can see, place a stand and pay a coin for each one in the row. You've placed a customer, we've done that. We've placed a restaurant and we've gained a coin. So that's literally it. Very simple options to choose from. Now you're going to keep going. I'm going to play a little bit more out. But how's the game end going to trigger? So you can see it says on the board, when you get to the point where there's only 4 visible customer spots, so these ones here, that's going to trigger the game end. And when there's only 4 spots left on the board, and these are classed as available, so include those as well, then the game's going to trigger then. And before I get away with myself, it's the most money at that point is going to be the winner. And remember, you minus any restaurants in your hand, you lose a coin each for them. And then you see who the winner is. So where are we? Blues. Have blues done something? Yeah, they placed this one. So let's go over to yellows. And we're looking at the board and we're thinking, right, we could place this stand, which we're going to do actually. So you can see that blues put this burger restaurant down. And this is advantageous for yellows because they can put it here and take advantage of that synergy. But they still only pay 1 coin. So 1 coin for the stand. There's no more in the row, no more stands, and there's no more in the column. So literally just paid 1 and they've got that synergy there, which is great. Now, I've completely not been putting these buildings on. My apologies. And it says in the beginning you should put your colour buildings on here so you don't forget what I've just done. So yellows had that one, blues had that one, and yellows had that one. So completely ignore what I was doing and put them on straight away. Okay, you don't need to do that for the restaurants. They are kind of neutral and they can be applied for anyone. So where were we? That was yellows, and they're going to replenish their free with one of these. Let's go see if there was another winery they could consider getting that and putting that out here. They're going to go for a bit of variety and go for that sort of herbal one. Now, I should add that if ever you have 3 tiles in your hand that are all the same, you can choose to discard them and pick a new 3. If ever there's 3 of the same here, you can equally do the same. A couple of things to note: there is one tile on here that has this sort of beer symbol, and that's kind of like a bonus tile. It can represent any symbol, so if you put next to that, it's going to score you an extra income of 1. No matter what stand it is. And there is 2 in the game, but in a 2-player game you take 1 of those out. Over to, I should probably move this to remind me, over to blue. So I think they're going to put this chicken stand out, well, meat stand out. This might not be the best strategy, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to place, if I do place it there, it's going to cost me an extra coin. Maybe not the best thing to do. What about tomatoes? Let's go tomatoes instead. Now, if we put this one here, we are going to pay. So we've acquired this into our hand, and we'll replenish while we're here. We'll take a fish stand. Now the cost of that is 1 for the stand, and have we got enough money actually? Yeah, we have. So 1 for the stand. We look at the row, there's 1 of a stand then, it's ours, so we still have to pay a coin. We look at the column, which is 0 of a stand there, so 1 is the most, we pay a coin for that. Now let's just say there was 2 here on the column and 1 on the row. You'd pay 2 coins. You only ever pay the maximum depending on if it's the row or the column. You wouldn't pay 2 plus the 1 is free, so whichever has the most stands is the maximum you pay. And that was it. We've paid for our stand. Over to yellows. Maybe they want to get some customers in. Let's have a look. So if we go, well, they've only got the 1 there and the 1 there, so they could only look at the ones for there. I think they're going to go, and they've got no restaurants to place down. They've got no money. Well, they've got 1 money. So do they want to sort of venture over here and just spend the 1? They could go here and that row and column's got nothing in it. Or do they maybe just want to take a coin? I think they're going to take a coin because they're going to have to pay for this sort of second stand if they decide to go in the corner. And I'll do that as well to sort of demonstrate this, how you can get income from previous customers. Okay, back over to blue then. Blue is thinking, right, I need some income. I'm going to go for a customer. So you can see they've got 2 stands on this row, and it's a meat stand and a tomato stand. And this one would be perfect. Didn't even spot that one. So 2 customers, 2 stands. We've met the requirements. We're going to put it on this row, and we can. It's our stand, which is fine. Even if an opponent was there, that's fine. You can still go there. Now let's just assume that was the case. Each person on that row would get paid out if they matched the requirements. So yellow would actually gain income as well. So you got to be mindful as to who you want to. What customers you want to send where. Now in this case, our stands actually provide the chicken or the meat and the tomatoes as well. So we're gonna figure out slowly how we figure out the revenue. So it's the revenue per stand. So this stand then has a value of 1 income, and it's also got a burger stand next to it, and it's increased the value by 1 because there's 1 there. So that's a value of 2. Times the 2 customers is 4. So you'd get 4 revenue for that stand. Now let's just say hypothetically the beer stand had been built and that was here. It would be 1 for the stand, 1 for the burger restaurant, and 1 for the beer stand, because that applies to all stands. So that would be a value of 3 times the 2 customers would be 6. So you can see how advantageous it is for having the right restaurants around your stand there to supply them. But in this case, it was 2 times the 2 is 4. So we'll take the revenue for that stand first. We then, where are it? Blues, wasn't it? We then do the second stand. Now it's just the 1 stand. There's no pizzerias, how you pronounce that, around them. So that is literally 1 times the 2 is 2 coins because there was 2 customers. So they made 6 revenue there, but they've used one of those valuable spots for attaining the revenue from those customers. So over to yellows, and that's what I was going to demonstrate. They're going to place this stand down here, and we're going to put that one on there. So they take this restaurant and they are going to pay. So you could, I forgot about this, if you didn't have enough money, you're able to acquire your revenue first and then pay for the costs if it can be covered, if you can cover the costs. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Now here, we can pay it in advance. So we pay 1 for the stand. We look down the row, the column should I say, and there's 1 of a stand. We look across the row, there's 1 there. So it's only going to be an extra additional payment of 1. We then attain, well, we're going to pick one of these before I forget. We'll go for one of them and we'll replenish. So we're now going to attain, what should we call it, deferred revenue, because we've added here and this customer's still there and he's interested. So there's a requirement for fish. This stand provides fish. There's only 1 income from that stand. There's no sushi around it. If there had been, say, a sushi restaurant here, then that would have been a value of 2, but they haven't managed to get that out yet. So 1 times the 1 customer is 1 coin. Over to blues. The blues have got a lot of money, and they're looking at these customers thinking, oh, should have added that one up. They're thinking, okay, there's a tomato and a chicken. Maybe we just want to get some more revenue from this. Maybe we should build another stand in here so that we could use one of the free customers, because you can see there's a tomato and a meat one, and we do have a meat. I think we're going to do that. We're going to place a stand here, remembering to put ours on there. Now the cost is 1 for the stand. In the row there's another 2 stands, and in the column there's 1, so that we're going to have to pay the maximum of 2 there. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So we've paid 3 in total for that, and we will also get deferred revenue from this. So it's a value of 1 for the stand. There's no restaurants around it, so 1 times the 2, 2 coins. And we will replenish with a tomato stand. Now you can see that we're putting a lot of stands out, and remember, if there's only 4 spots left, then it's going to trigger end of the game. So you want to start balancing it off with taking customers and placing restaurants down. Over to yellows. And they've got 2 stands here. They've got a fish and a chicken. There's 2 customers. Maybe they could go, let's go for this one to do a few more customers. So place a customer here. Is 2 stands, matches the requirement for 2 customers. It's one of their own stands, and they've got chicken, which these guys are after. So the stand itself generates 1 income. There is a burger restaurant next by, so that's another income. So that's 2. 2 times the 2 customers is 4. And over to blues, who are going to grab this customer here and place that here. So 3 customers, 3 stands. They require tomatoes first, so that stand is a value of 1, no restaurants around it, so 1 times the 3 is 3 coins. And these guys is a chicken. That stand will just generate the 1 times the 3 is 3, and their final stand will be the 1 plus the 1 for the burger, so that's 2 times the 3 is 6. Look at all that income they've just generated, and that was blues. Let's not get confused where this money goes. Okay, over to yellows now. Let's call this the final go. What have I not shown you? So we've done customers, restaurants. Maybe we're just going to go and apply this restaurant here. Okay, we'll place it there. Now, obviously a restaurant, you don't trigger this customer again. It's only when stands are placed that will trigger. And that is pretty much I've demonstrated all of the actions. You keep going. You're going to want to get some customers out to fill, these spots before your opponents do, because let's just say this row here, or maybe not that row as an example, but let's say you have got, I'm going to move a few things around just to kind of demonstrate a few bits. So let's say this is the case. Bad example. Okay. let's say that's the case, and there's a pizzeria here. Now, you can see this column only has the opportunity for one more customer to come out because these guys have already got it. So yellows are thinking, right, I want to try and get grapes and fish out here before blues try and get a customer who wants tomatoes. So looking at the freeze, you can see there's a fish and a chicken. That's probably the best one to go for. So if we went here, well, yellows went there, they're going to get paid out for this one, which should be what? 1 plus the 1 is 2 times the 3, 6 coins. But they've limited their opponent, blues in this case, from putting a customer there that wanted tomatoes. And let's say yellows managed to sort of get something out here on a future round. They could equally start doing it on the rows as well. So there's 2. So maybe they're thinking, right, I want to go and put this one out here because my stand is, these customers are coming to my stand for herbal teas and what have you, and these guys aren't even getting paid out. So then they're thinking, right, I need to get in there quick and go, maybe they'd want to avoid this one because they're paying, yes, they're getting money for the tomatoes, but only for the one customer. But equally, this customer's after the herbal teas, which is benefiting that stand. So you're having to think about which customers, what requirements they're after to make the most and get the revenue and hinder your opponents. Because as these customers fill up, that's going to trigger the game end as well. And again, whoever has the most money minus the restaurants, they cost you 1 if you haven't managed to place them out, will be the winner. There we are, folks. Enjoy.